another note, you're just closing out one of your biggest campaign months ever. October was LGBTQ History Month and Show Your True Colors challenge. I wanted to hear a little bit more about what that challenge entailed and what the goals were for that campaign as you closed out just even 10 days ago, I think.
Yeah, so in addition to LGBTQ History Month, it's also National Coming Out Month and National Coming Out Day. And I think the most important thing that's happened over the last particularly 40 years for the LGBT community has been the collective power of people coming out, whether it to be to their to themselves first and foremost, but coming out to their family and friends, to their coworkers, to all the people in their lives. It is fundamentally the biggest thing that has happened to create greater acceptance, affirmation, and inclusion of LGBTQ people in communities and across the country. So what True Colors United focused on in October was really encouraging people to show their true colors, whether it be as an LGBTQ plus person or as a ally to the LGBT community. So whether that be by telling their story or talking about how they're taking action in their day-to-day lives. So on TikTok in particular, we partnered with them on this hashtag Show Your True Colors. And if you go on, you can see so many, put that in and you'll see so many inspiring, wonderful TikToks of people sharing and showing their true colors. So it was wonderful. I think the campaign was viewed by over almost 250 million people on TikTok. Wow. So really exciting.
So mission accomplished, building awareness.
And a good next step in the continuing effort to make sure that everybody can show up and show their true colors every day in their lives.
So a couple of things around that. One is I am so amazed by the connection between being able to say that you're coming out and the connection between arts and creativity. So I want to hear a little bit about that, but also maybe even before that, just a little bit about that moment before someone is actually going to come out and tell their family and friends who they are and, you know, that they might be gay or transgender, whatever that is, like that moment before, like how they must be feeling and what it takes, that, you know, the strength and the courage that it takes to be able to say that out loud and to finally, you know, and deal with the risks of what the reactions that they might get.
It is one of the most scariest moments a person can have who's LGBTQ. Yeah. It is the scariest moment, at least for me. It was, you know, I came out, at this point, I came out 26 years ago and I still remember it, you know, quite vividly. Coming out to myself was a huge moment, and acknowledging my identity myself at the age of 19 was profound and opened up my life to me, really. But then, you know, telling the people that I loved and cared about who I was, you know, to this day, the scariest thing I've ever done. There's so much shame that you are working through to build up the courage and to be vulnerable with the people in your life and taking a risk. And it is a scary moment, but it, to me, was the most freeing moment. It certainly presented challenges for me, as it does for every LGBTQ plus person. It is a decision that somebody shouldn't, you know, take lightly, and nobody ever really does. But also seek the support and help you need to be able to make that decision and to be able to come out. And if you are struggling and if you do need help, there are so many resources out there. Most notably the Trevor Project, which if you go to the trevorproject.org, it's a 24/7 hotline for LGBTQ young people to be able to talk to somebody, to be able to get advice, to be able to talk through what you're going through, whether it's coming to terms with your sexual orientation or gender identity for yourselves, or being able to talk to somebody in your life. There's LGBTQ community centers in communities all across America. And if you go to lgbtcenters.org, you can get a whole list of those centers that you can get in-person support as well as phone support to be able to kind of work through those issues. So you're not alone. Young people, anybody, whether you're young, whether you're, a teenager all the way up into whatever age you are coming out, it's a process. So just make sure that you reach out and get help if you need it.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing those resources. I think it's really important to let everyone know that they're available to them. You mentioned vulnerability and being authentic. I think that's really where the connection comes in for arts and creativity, because that's where you really want to be vulnerable and be your authentic self. I mean, you can only be artistic if you allow that side of yourself to come out, right? So there's a huge parallel there, but you're really the expert on it. So if you could tell us a little bit more about what that means and why True Colors talks about it so much.
Yeah, so I would say creativity takes a lot of different forms, and that could take the form of art, painting and sculpture and so forth. It could take the form of music. It can take the form of filmmaking, and it also can take the form of advocacy. It also can take the form of, showing up in your communities and, advocating for your rights and advocating for the issues that matter the most to you. And all of those things require you to really be vulnerable and take that risk. And I firmly believe that the more vulnerable you are and the more authentic you can be. And authenticity is a way that can really create that kind of human connection that is needed to open people's minds and hearts to the realities of what any marginalized community in our country faces, whether you're LGBTQ or any other identity. That we're not all one identity. I am LGBTQ. I'm Jewish. I'm somebody who has suffered from mental health issues throughout my youth and my young adult life. And so, the more we're willing to, be vulnerable and share our experiences and our views and what's important to us through whatever avenue of creativity is best for you, that's probably one of the most powerful things you can do in your life.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's so important to see that you can be powerful in so many ways based on your strengths, who you are, what you're capable of. And you're right, you're not just part of the LGBTQ community, you're part of so many different types of communities that you can, attach to and define yourself as. So it's important to recognize all those things.